Is it worth trading up your R1300GS for the Ducati Multistrada? In 2025, inmates, how's life behind bars? Not these bars, these bars. We've got two stunning bikes behind me. This is my one on your right, my R1300GS. I haven't had a chance to wash it, so it's filthy dirty, but looks the business, whether it's dirty or whether it's clean, to be fair. And then on your left, we've got my good friend Gary. That's his Ducati V4 Pikes Peak. Stunning, stunning motor. So before we get into the detail, which one's the best, let's find out a little bit about the history of each of these bikes. So with the BMW, the GS was kind of born back in 1980 with the R1300GS. Essentially, it's the godfather of these big adventure bikes. Over the years, there's been many GS's, probably far too many to count, but in the mid-90s, BMW launched the R1300GS. Their first real notable addition to the GS range was the R1150GS Adventure, which was popularized by Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman in The Long Way Round in the early 2000s. So let's move on to the Ducati. In 2003, they launched their first Multistrada, which was an 1000cc engine. It wasn't until 2010 when they brought out their 1200 version, which was the Multistrada which the people love today. It really brought sports biking into the adventure scene. And between then and now, Ducati have brought out many models, the S, the RS, the Pikes Peak, but it was the launch of the Pikes Peak in 2021. Ducati specifically said, we're not just challenging the GS, we're beating it at performance, handling, and tech. What a statement. This is proper fighting talk. So does it live up to this statement? Let's find out. So it's fair to say the Ducati Multistrada and the BMW GS have both evolved into flagship do-it-all bikes, if you like, but they come from opposite perspectives. The Multistrada is a bit of a racehorse turned into a luxury tourer, where the GS is a workhorse turned into a luxury tourer. So now with the R1300GS going lighter, smarter and sportier, the gap between the two has never been closer. So is it time to consider trading your GS for a Multistrada or vice versa? So let's move on to the stats. First, let's talk about the engine and the power delivery. The BMW R1300GS is a 1300cc boxer twin. It's got 145 brake horsepower, unless you've got it mapped like mine, 150 brake horsepower at 7,750 RPM. 149 Newton meters of torque at 6,500 RPM. Known for its low-end torque, smooth tractability, chug-along behavior. Moving on to the can't get the words out. Now moving on to the Ducati. It's really hard to say that. Moving on to the Ducati. It's a tongue twister. Yeah, it really is, yeah. Moving on to the Moving on to the Ducati. Moving on to the Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. It's got 1158cc V4 Gran Turismo engine, 170 brake horsepower at 10,500 RPM. My mate's bike, not this one here, he's had his mapped, he's getting 190 horsepower at 10,500 RPM, at 125 Newton meters of torque at 8,750 RPM. I think I've remembered that rightly. The Multistrada Pikes Peak is known for its explosive top-end power and sports bike-esque character. Like, just look at that bike. It's stunning. It's beautiful. But just looks alone, I am tempted to trade in my 1300GS for this bike. But how usable is the V4's power on twisty B roads versus the GS's lazy grunt? So let me just reflect back on my recent trip in the Pikes. If you haven't seen those videos, we've put links down below to that or up above, wherever. But we've got video footage of me on my GS and also with my mate on his Ducati Pikes Peak. Now, from my experience, first of all, my mate Nick, who currently has the Ducati Pikes Peak, he's a very good rider. A lot of my riding skills on road has definitely been handed down from him. I've been riding with him for a very long time. I think it's fair to say when Nick and I are both on GS's, no one's in front of the other You know, he's not holding me up, I'm not holding him up. We usually struggle to pass each other. We're probably at a very similar level when it comes to riding. But this was the first time that I was on the GS and he was on the Pikes Peak. And this is what I've got to say about it. As soon as we had a bit of a straight bit, I'm not saying a straight road, but you had a straight section through the chicanes. It wasn't as twisty as it could be. Then I couldn't shake the Pikes Peak off my tail. He was right up behind me. I wouldn't say I was holding him up, but I could not shake him off. However, as soon as we got onto those really twisty chicanes, the hairpin bends, going through a gorge, we're in the Pikes, I was noticing I was slowly pulling away from the Pikes Peak. Why? I have no idea. I don't think it's because I'm a better rider, because I don't believe I am. I've seen Nick and his riding style. He's a very, very good rider with many more years experience to me. I know he loves his Pikes Peak, but he can't deny the R1300GS probably got a slight edge on his Pikes Peak when it gets really, really twisty. But you know, if we were doing a side-by-side test and we're like in third gear at 40 miles an hour or something and we rolled on the throttle, the Pikes Peak's gonna walk all over the GS. I don't doubt that at all. But this is about real life use out there on the twisty mountain roads. I would rather be on my R1300GS, but there's a part of me that also wants to be on this. They're both phenomenal bikes, but again, which one's best? Which one would you want to be on? And speaking of all those twisty corners, which one are you going to get more tired on the fastest? I actually don't know. I think the Pikes Peak, the V4 Multistrada is a very comfortable bike, more comfortable than my GS if I'm completely honest. But then again, I haven't got the most comfortable seat arrangement on my GS. So I don't know the answer to that question. I think they're probably much of a muchness when it comes to the comfort of actually riding the bike. Touching on comfort, let's move on to the handling of the bike and the overall experience. So the R1300GS has got that incredible front telelever suspension. It's got that 19-inch front wheel. The bike weighs 237 kilograms with a full tank of fuel. It's got active suspension, dynamic ride height. My bike here hasn't personally got the dynamic ride height, but obviously you can spec your R1300 up with that on it. The Ducati Pikes Peak has got 17-inch forged wheels, so smaller than the GS. It's got Öhlins Smart EC 2.0 semi-active suspension. Now, surprisingly enough, the Pikes Peak's a heavier bike at 250 kilograms with a full tank of fuel. However, it's been noted it feels like a lighter bike, it feels sharper. That could be a result of the sports ergonomics, the rear set pegs and narrower bars. So which one rides better? Which has got a better handling? Well, from my opinion and experience of only riding the GS, but riding it with the Pikes Peak behind me, I actually think this has got better handling, but I can't say it from the perspective of me actually going out and spending lots of time on a Pikes Peak. I've been tempted for years to buy a Pikes Peak. I just still haven't taken the plunge to do it. I probably will end up getting one day as another bike, but at the moment it's the GS I like. But the handling, yeah, I think the GS is phenomenal bike handling. I think it does it ever so well. Obviously using the telelever front suspension for that front end is a game changer. And I suppose Ducati with that front Öhlins suspension, and they got a lot of electronics in there as well, helping that front end do what it needs to do. That's what makes this bike handle so well as well. So kind of reflecting back on what I said at the beginning of this video, that the Ducati Multistrada is coming from more of a sports bike background and it's coming into the adventure scene, whereas the GS comes from a bit more of an agricultural off-road bike, bringing it closer to, well, this has got almost crossed the line from adventure biking into sports biking, because you could easily put this GS on the track and it'd perform ever so well. But they're kind of like joined in the middle now, where we've got two bikes which are almost identical when it comes to power and handling. You know, which one would you have? Which one would you prefer, the GS or the Multistrada? So let's move on to the comfort and ergonomics of the bikes. The R1300GS, it's got a seat height of 850 to 870 millimeter, which is adjustable. Apparently it's got a wider bar as well. I wasn't even aware of that, which gives you a bit more of an upright posture. And it's also got that big adjustable screen. Not my one, of course, but out of the box, they come with a larger, bigger adjustable screen. The V4 Pikes Peak has got a seat height of 840 millimeters. It's got more of an aggressive peg to bar ratio layout. So as you're sat on the bike, it's more of a sports bike riding position. And it's also got a smaller sports screen on the Multistrada. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna sit on both of them right now and let you know which one I think I would rather do 300, 400, 500 miles a day on.
This is awesome.
Can't get my leg over the back of that. Yeah. It's a lovely bike. It really is. It feels really, really good. So this feels really, really comfortable. I've got no problems with this. I could sit on this all day long. My mate in the Pikes, he's 6'5", so he's taller than me. He's carrying a few more pounds than I am as well. And he was more than comfortable. We did a good 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours in a day on them, and he was very comfortable. And he's probably originally more of a GS rider. He got me into GS riding in the beginning, to be fair. So he looks very comfortable on this. I feel very comfortable on it. I think I look all right too. There's so much about this bike that's drawing me in to say, get a Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. It's just such a lovely bike. Feels really good.
When I'm 40 to go into the GS now, you can't stay on that forever.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I need to jump on my GS. Now, to be fair, that's on a center stand, so it felt very tall just then, whereas this is not. But I feel lower down, but then again, that's because of the center stand, but I feel a lot lower down, not just a little bit. It's obviously I've done thousands of miles on this bike, and I'm very pleased with it. I love the feel of it. It feels like I've come home, but that's because it's my bike. It's a beautiful bike. Based on my legs, I would say I feel a little bit more cramped on that one. Sorry, one moment. Yeah, even though I feel taller, but I think that's because of the center stand, the bend in my knee is definitely more bent. Yeah, I still prefer the GS, if I'm completely honest. I can feel the difference with that wider bar as well, now going between the two. The bend in my knee is not as much because of the aggressive peg to bar ratio, if you like. This is more comfortable, a lot more comfortable. I feel like I've got more bike in front of me as well as I'm sat on it, whereas on that one I feel like I'm over the dash. Yeah, I feel like I can move around in the seat a lot more as well. The seat on there, I don't know whether it's because of the adjustability of the front and the rear, but I feel like I'm being forced into the tank on the Pikes Peak, whereas this one doesn't feel like I'm being forced into it at all. I must admit, when I'm really on it and I'm riding quite aggressively on twisty roads, I do tend to get right over that tank and get my head as close to the dash as I can because I want to be over that front wheel. If I sit back, I don't get the same kind of feel. And I think that automatically comes with that one because the seat forces you towards the front of the bike. Now, with regards to having a pillion on the back, like I've removed all my rear pegs. I can't stand pillions on this kind of bike. I wouldn't even want a pillion on this, on the Multistrada. But I think I'd rather have a pillion on the Multistrada than the GS. You know, the GS is much smaller. I haven't even got a rear seat on mine, let alone rear pegs. My friend who owns this Pikes Peak, he goes everywhere with his wife on the back, and he still rides quicker than I do, even when I'm on my own. Yeah, I'd rather have that if I had a pillion on the back. So my opinion of the whole pillion thing is because as you look at the seats on between the two, even though I haven't got a rear seat on this, it just looks more set up for a rear pillion, whereas the GS doesn't. There's very little space, especially when you think about the luggage as well. I'm sure there's lots of you out there who ride with pillions all the time, and you've got your luggage on it and everything, and there's probably plenty of room for you. But for me, I'm a big guy. Having two full-grown size adults on the back of a 1300 GS, I think is pushing it a little bit, but I know that lots of people are out there riding with pillions on these bikes. I just don't think they're as spacious as an R1300 GS Adventure, for instance. So I would definitely go for the Adventure over the GS if I was riding two up. If I was going to be picking between a Multistrada Pikes Peak and a 1300 GS, and I want a pillion on the back, I would definitely be going for the Multistrada Pikes Peak. So moving on to tech and features. So the BMW has dynamic cruise control, but you can upgrade to the radar adaptive cruise control. It's got a 10.25-inch TFT with navigation, heated seats and grips, adjustable ride height when stopping, and also the wonder wheel control is intuitive. As with the Ducati, it's got the radar cruise control, it's got a 6.5-inch TFT, it's also got a quick shifter, which apparently is buttery smooth. And I hear that a lot from customers coming in here with the Multistradas. Buttery smooth quick shifter. It's got smartphone connectivity. It's got turn-by-turn nav, but it's apparently very fiddly. Okay, with regards to the screens, in terms of comparisons, we can't really compare them because we don't have official statistics from Ducati and BMW on their TFT screens, but they're both pretty much of a muchness in terms of brightness. They're both nice big screens, so safe to say from experience and in bright sunlight, I can see both screens very clearly when the sun is beating down on those screens. Moving on to the fuel economy and tank range. Now this is a bit of an interesting one because I'm going to give you some official stats, and I'm also going to tell you my experience with riding with my mate in the Pikes and when we're filling up our tanks. So the stats are, the 1300 GS has a 55 miles per gallon, 19 litre tank. You should get 230 miles of range out of that full tank of fuel on the GS. The V4 Pikes Peak claims to do 40 to 45 miles per gallon. It's got a 22 litre tank. It's supposed to do 180 to 200 miles on one tank of fuel. Now, because me and Nick are quite close mates, we don't mind paying for each other's tanks of fuel as long as we get the balance right and it's always even at the end of the day. So we'll pull up at the petrol station, we'll both open up our fuel caps, and I'll grab the fuel nozzle and I'd fill them all, both of them up to the top. And then the next time we'd stop, it'd be Nick's turn to pay for the fuel. And we always found that we were putting in the same amount of fuel every time. Obviously, we never used to drain the tanks to a complete empty, but we always used to say we've got about the same amount of fuel left at the bottom, and then we'd always be putting the exact same literage in each tank. So I found that quite interesting that we were both drinking as much fuel as each other doing the same trip. So ownership costs. So let's talk about the service intervals. So with the BMW, you have 6,000 mile basic service, and every 12,000 miles, you've got to get those valve checks done. It's roughly between 200 to 400 pounds for each service. With the Ducati, it's a 9,000 mile basic service, 37,500 miles for the valve check. If you are lucky, or maybe not so lucky, and you've got that RS model with the Desmo Dici engine, well then the Desmo service can be 1,000 to 1,500. Wow, that's an eye-watering service bill to have for a motorcycle. So then moving on to the insurance, tyres and parts, because that's all part of the expense of owning these bikes. The Ducati V4 Pikes Peak uses sportier tyres, the Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4s. They've got a shorter lifespan and they are more expensive, but they're probably a lot better quality, probably the right tyre for that bike for a nice sharp feel on those roads. Ducati has that Italian premium tax. Low volume sales, premium quality products equals higher prices. So with the BMW parts, which are obviously more common, BMWs are a lot cheaper to repair if there are any issues. Okay, I appreciate I look a bit different. It's been about 2.5 months since we recorded the last bit. So I've been away, I've grown a bit of a beard as well. We're just gonna listen to the exhausts on both the Pikes Peak and the R1300GS. Okay, here goes. So that exhaust sounds fantastic. It's just that's you know, it's an Akrapovic. It does sound really, really good. Okay, now we've got the R1300GS. This is the Akrapovic can. To be fair, it doesn't sound that bad, but I already know that the Jekyll and Hyde sounds so much better than this. So this part here you see here, we filmed this earlier today, and then the stock GS we filmed today as well, but after we filmed this. So we just wanted you to hear what it's like with a stock exhaust, although the actual can on that GS we just played to you was the it's not the aftermarket Akrapovic, it's the OEM Akrapovic can, which you can only buy from BMW. But this just goes to show what can be done to your GS if you choose to have an Akrapovic decat header and a Jekyll and Hyde. That sounds good. It's important to note, just whilst I'm remembering it, this moment, if you go for a decat header with the Jekyll and Hyde, even if you go for an Akrapovic aftermarket can, you will get flames spitting out of the back of your exhaust, guaranteed. You're going to see it more in the low light, but it does happen. So doing a comparison between the stock Ducati and the stock GS, got to be said that the Ducati does sound better. That's my preference. It does sound a lot better. But that Jekyll and Hyde with the that Jekyll and Hyde with the decat header on the GS, I believe sounds better than the Ducati Pikes Peak with the Acra can on it. And also, if you take the cat out with the link pipe as well, I still think the GS sounds better. I know we haven't got that sound file to show you, but I have heard it on a Ducati Pikes Peak with a decat header, and it doesn't sound that much louder or that much raspier, although you do hear a difference. But I personally prefer the sound of the 1300GS with a decat header and a Jekyll and Hyde exhaust. Okay, so just the final part of this video. What types of riders like these bikes? So with regards to the Multistrada, this is perfect for those older riders, if you like. The riders who have had sports bikes, we've gone round the block on all those high power sports bikes, but we now want a bit more comfort. We want some heated grips for our little fragile hands, and we want a nice warm bum as well on those cold days. But we've still got all that power, if not more than what we had 10 years ago on those sports bikes that were the sports bikes of the day. Multistrada is just an obvious choice for those kind of riders. Or maybe the guys who haven't had the sports bikes but are very familiar with the adventure scene already, but just want more of that sports bike in their adventure bike. They're not interested in going off the beaten track, going up gravelly tracks, that kind of thing. They want to be carving the alpine passes at speed, nice road tyres on there, high performance bike with all that comfort. I believe that the Multistrada is perfect for you. And the third one that comes to mind is basically people with deep pockets. And then, now we've got a bit of a crossover here, because I think the Pikes Peak really, I suppose, should be compared with the S1000XR bike, really. But people with deep pockets, people who just want the very best and can afford the best, so they buy the best. But you've really got that status that comes with Ducati, possibly over the BMW. It's something about having that Ducati. It's definitely a top premium brand that deep pockets can buy. For the GS riders amongst us, the sorts of riders who'll be buying these are the people that don't want to choose between going off-road or carving up those alpine passes. It does both extremely well. So it's like a perfect happy balance. We've got that sports bike feel, it's got the power of sports bikes, but we can just take it off on a track, no problem at all. Go up the side of a hill, no problem, it can do it. It's probably worth pointing out that BMW is a premium brand, but like for me, I've got a few BMWs and I'm absolutely okay with taking my BMWs off-road. I'm even okay if I drop it. I'm not too bothered about it because that's what I got it for. Not to drop it, but when I'm trying too hard, I might drop it. But when I was up for the Pikes and I made my mate follow me on his Ducati Multistrada Pikes Peak, he was not happy. He didn't drop it, but he was not happy. Quite rightly so. It's that premium brand that you don't really want to take off-road and get it scratched. But let's not discount the BMW GS too much when it comes to the premium extras and the nice sparkly bits all over it. Although the Ducati is all full of carbon fiber and Öhlins suspension, it looks the business, we can still put all those Option 719 bits on the GS and make it look very special. And obviously, if you're going to be putting all that Option 719 on there, you're probably not going to want to take it off-road, just in case you do drop it and scratch those nice sparkly bits. Now, I've made a bit of a note here saying about, well, the GS would be the right choice to go for long distance and comfort. But I think there's a fair argument here because obviously I know people with the Multistrada and it's very comfortable. Now, if we're talking about the R1300GS Adventure, well then that would win hands down when it comes to comfort and also having a pillion on the back, that kind of thing. But the Multistrada, it's a comfortable bike. The rear pillion seat is a comfortable place for your pillion to sit. The R1300GS, the non-adventure version, I don't know. I know there's a lot of people out there who disagree with me, and we have customers coming here all the time with their wives on the back, or their husbands on the back, although I haven't seen that. Sorry, I've just got to say, as I was saying that, I just remembered from a couple of years ago, I had some guy had a right pop at me because I said about his wife on the back. But you're absolutely right, it could have been the wife being the rider with her husband on the back. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm not saying it's not possible. It's great, you know. Anyway, moving on. Just to reiterate all that, because I've gone off on a huge tangent there, but I do think the R1300GS is designed to be a bit of a long distance tourer. However, I would personally choose the Multistrada Pikes Peak as a tourer over the 1300GS. I think it's the level pegging, but I think the Pikes Peak will actually come out on top on that one. So the third thing I've got here is, which probably isn't specific to the GS, but they do it pretty well. But the modern tech that you get on the BMW R1300GS and all the BMWs, the modern BMWs, you get all that latest tech on there, which you probably not, well, I know you get it on the Multistrada, the Ducati, but I don't know, BMW just do it ever so well. Maybe I'm biased, but it's just they really cater for all that modern tech you get on bikes. So I think a lot of riders who want all that modern stuff, they'll be leaning more towards a GS over a Pikes Peak. People who would be choosing the BMW GS over anything else, well, it's you. Those BMW loyalists out there who won't have anything else. You're stuck in the BMW path, that's it. BMW all the way. I get that. Thank you very much for sticking with us this far. This is a bit of an odd one because it's been filmed over about 2 or 3 months. I can't even remember what I've been talking about, but I hope this has been helpful to you so you can make a decision whether you prefer the BMW 1300GS or maybe the Ducati Multistrada Pikes Peak. As I probably mentioned in the beginning of the video, even though I can't really remember, that Multistrada Pikes Peak or even the RS, it's a bike which is constantly screaming out to me to buy. I actually really want to buy one just so I've got one. But would I get rid of my GS for one? Hell no, it's not happening. So for me, it's the GS, or I have one of each, okay? Which I can't quite stretch and buy one of each right now. Just want to quickly mention, we've got a Raffle bike. We didn't have that here the last time we started videoing this. So if you haven't seen the Raffle bike, well, first of all, we can put a link down below in the description so you can go through to the Raffle bike and buy early bird tickets depending on when this video comes out. There's an early bird period of time where you can get the tickets at a slightly discounted rate. So if you don't see that in time, sorry, it has to go to full price once we fully reveal the bike. But this bike is going to be fantastic. Please, if they are available from the link down below, buy a ticket, get in there to win it. If you don't win it, all the profits go to a fantastic cause, the Derbyshire Blood Bikes. So please get in there, start donating, buy those tickets. You might win probably the best R1300GS adventure on the planet. Now I'm saying that because there's nothing else out there like it. Special paint color scheme. I want to show it to you right now because it's just over there, but we're not revealing it in this video. But it's going to be an awesome bike. Right, until next time. Stay safe behind bars, not these bars, and I'll see you in the next video.